tell President Ruto, I stood up and told Zuma, you have sold out Gaddafi.
Mnangagwa is the highest sellout ever in the history of African politics.
Museveni firstly must go and rest all his oversized suits as well.
We say this out of love. Grandpa, it's enough now.
Julius Malema is arguably one of the greatest Pan-African leaders of our time. He is very informed on the things happening in the continent and never late to comment, either congratulating or disagreeing with matters Africa. Let's take a look at Julius Malema memorable moments reacting on African leaders.
I was in the ANC when they went to attack Libya. I stood up and told Zuma that you have sold out Gaddafi, and Gaddafi gave you money to be a president of the ANC because you voted for no-fly zone, and they used that to attack Gaddafi. And when they were attacking Gaddafi, the white people came to us and said, oh, what was he doing to his people? He was killing his own people. That's fine. Gaddafi is gone now. What are you doing to his people? What are you doing to... They've never provided solution anyway. All they do is to disrupt. You listen to them in Libya, they said Gaddafi was a murderer, a man who gave people land, a man who gave people free education, free health care, looked after his own. We were told that is an enemy. We will never be told in the EFF who our enemies are. We will know who our enemies are.
Nelson Mandela is quoted saying, one of the mistakes which some political analysts make is to think that their enemies should be our enemies.
I don't know if President William Ruto means it, because he said so many things and I can't locate him these days, because the things he said during election and the things he's doing now are two different things. I don't know. Because I heard him saying we need to do away with the dollar and build our own currency. But his actions are not speaking to anything of doing away with the dollar. The latest being putting a red carpet for a murderer, a person who killed the Kenyan people, coming into this country, receiving a red carpet and being saluted by our own army.
He is referring to the visit by King Charles III and Queen Camilla, who visited Kenya on October 31st, the year 2023, for a 4-day state visit.
This is not a Kenyan army, it's not a colonialist army. The Kenyan army is a product of the Mau Mau rebellion, and those who killed our people in the Mau Mau rebellion cannot be saluted by the same army of the children of those who were killed during Mau Mau rebellion. We have a duty to stay true to the cause. We have a duty to remind the king and Britain of what they did to us. Indeed, he shows no remorse. He says this was bad, it shouldn't have happened. But he runs short of, I apologize, I am sorry. He will never say he is sorry, for because he thinks that his race makes him superior and he's not qualified to apologize to those who are junior to him. We call upon the Kenyan government to be firm and to decide what they want to be. Do they want to be Pan-Africanist, or do they want to be proponents of neo-colonialism? You can't have it both. Only one call must be made, and that call is of Pan-Africanism.
Museveni firstly must go and rest all his oversized suits as well, because it's a big problem. The man must just go. Bobi Wine is a brother to us. We want him to fight more, and he must never be discouraged by the old man. Age is on his side. He must know that even if he doesn't win against this dictatorship, nature will resolve his problem soon. He doesn't have a problem at all. He must soldier on. If he can't defeat him through using the state institutions and democratic processes, nature will resolve the man. There is no any old man who's going to win against the youth. Young people will be scared to commit mistakes when they are in power because they will know that those mistakes are going to follow them for a very long time. They are still young. But these old ones, they know that even if they commit mistakes, they don't care. They won't be here tomorrow when we confront the difficult future. So, Bobi Wine, go for it, young man. I like your spirit. I like the fact that you are not scared. You have been in and out of prison, harassed by old age pensioner who was supposed to be receiving pension and looking after cattle. Because he's got too many beautiful cattle there in Uganda. He even gave some to Cyril, their friends.
Sure thing. Those cows are very beautiful.
So, go for him. Don't be scared. Go and fight for the people of Uganda. Now the old man has suspended social media because he's a coward. He's scared of a free and open contestation. So don't be intimidated. Bobi Wine must be happy that the old man closed social media because of him. That shows the power of the youth. You have defeated him already. You have pushed him to engage in undemocratic practices because he's scared of the young brains. Why inspired Bobi Wine? Go for it. We hope the Zimbabwean youth one day will rise like you and confront Mnangagwa and drop him down because he's got no future in Zimbabwean politics. Mnangagwa is not a solution for Zimbabwean problems. We need younger blood, energetic youth. We don't care about their ideologies. Ideologies is contestation. Let them, young people, take over. Let's contest each other ideologically and politically, not through undemocratic means which borders on dictatorship. We will never subscribe to that. We don't support that.
Well, Cyril and Mnangagwa are two fools, so they can't resolve anything. Mnangagwa must go. The people of Zimbabwe deserve a better leader. The people of Zimbabwe deserve a revolutionary who will continue with the land question of Zimbabwe. Mnangagwa is the highest sellout ever in the history of African politics. He must be known as a sellout and not as a revolutionary. Anyone who reverse the land question in Zimbabwe and compensate white people for a stolen land is a sellout. And that's what Mnangagwa is.
The government of Zimbabwe has promised to compensate around 4,000 local and foreign white farmers who are affected by the land redistribution program initiated in 2000 by former President Robert Mugabe. What is your take on this? Please let us know in the comment section.
We say this out of love, not because we hate him. We celebrate Mugabe, we celebrate what he has done, and will continue his legacy. But Grandpa, it's enough now.
He truly envied his contribution in Pan-Africanism. In a tribute to Mugabe when he passed on, he called him a continental hero.
He was not just a country's hero. He was a continental hero. He's the man who inspired confidence in the African Revolution. We really are sorry about what happened to President Mugabe. He played his role and he inspired a lot of confidence throughout the continent and the diaspora. Many people who engaged in the revolution against imperialism and colonialism were amongst many other people inspired by President Mugabe. Fellow Africans, that generation is living now. We owe it to them to continue the good fight, the fight for the economic emancipation of the continent. We owe it to them to protect their legacy, because it is that legacy of this generation, the Julius Nyerere generation, the Nelson Mandela generation, the Robert Mugabe generation, which must inspire many generations to come. We are
incomplete without President Mugabe. Let us celebrate him as a hero. Let us not allow the enemies of our revolution to tell us who Robert Mugabe was. Only us can tell them who Robert Mugabe was. And Robert Mugabe was a revolutionary fighter. Robert Mugabe was a hero. Robert Mugabe is a martyr. Robert Mugabe is a fearless fighter for the land of the people of Zimbabwe and the entire continent of Africa.
When ANC was banned, she was the only woman in the 80s who could say Viva ANC more than men. She's the one who traveled the world popularizing the release of her husband. When the ANC flag was crime to be found in its position, she will raise the ANC flag high in the 80s. When they came from prison, when they came from exile, when they came from underground, the first person they isolated was her. They destroyed her. They said she's an undesirable person. What did Winnie Mandela do? The more the ANC ill-treated her, the more loyal she stayed, the more disciplined she became, and said, I am the ANC. She never said, because I'm the one who raised the flag, when no one could raise the flag, I must be the president at all costs. If you don't make me president, I'm leaving. No. They went to Mafikeng, they denied us the president we deserve, and put Zuma, deputy president, on the place of Winnie Mandela. When I grew up under Winnie Mandela, I knew her to be the most hated woman, who's dangerous, who kills people, who people don't want, because that is the narrative they sold to us when we were growing up. But I always knew that Winnie Mandela is a leader of our struggle. They wanted to choose leaders for us. When Winnie Mandela died, ENCA went to write and report nonsense about her. What did the people of South Africa do? That is the first action I saw. When South Africans said to ENCA, you are reporting nonsense. You can't do that. This is not Winnie we know. Remember, we are told Winnie that she's not liked by anyone. South Africans defended her. On a Friday, a day before a burial, I went to fetch her from a mortuary. When we came back with her from a mortuary, I found grannies with chairs, taking the chairs outside their yards, sitting down as we're driving her to a home. The grannies were waving goodbyes to this woman I was told is hated by everyone. Waving goodbyes, no one mobilized them, no one forced them out of their houses. They could not walk, but they knew their leaders. They sat outside and waved and said, this is the only way we can give her the last respect. I thought that was the end. When we finished at the stadium, on the day of the burial, we're taking her to a grave. It was pouring, raining heavily. The N1 side, one side was closed, the other one was opened. The cars which were going to the Soweto direction were allowed to move. The ones which were going to Four Ways were stopped. Only the cars who were in the convoy were allowed to be on the N1. These cars which were moving stopped on their own under heavy rains, waved their goodbyes. No one said to them, stop, under heavy rains. Go and salute. If you don't salute, we don't give you jobs. The most hated woman, the most rejected woman, the people came out of their houses and stood under the rain to salute her. We turned into 4 ways where black elite and white people share the space. Both black and white came out. What was even worse, white people allowed their children to come out and stand under the heavy rains to wave to a hated woman. Why did they salute her? Why did they wave for her? Her discipline, her loyalty to the struggle for the liberation of our people has earned her the title Mother of the Nation. Who doesn't wave when your mother has passed on? Who doesn't say goodbyes when the mother has passed on? When Castro said, history will absolve me, I saw that in action when we're burying Winnie Mandela, who required nobody's validation, spoke her mind, stood firm on principle. Even on the face of death, they locked her in a solitary confinement, meaning you stay there alone. She sat in that cell alone. They were trying to break her. The only thing that showed life which she could speak to was ants. She was talking to ants in her cell and sharing her thoughts and her ideas in the cell. When they released her, she was more determined. She was never a provincial chair. She was never a secretary. She was never a minister. She was never a president. She never threw her toys out of the court. You have never been arrested. You have never been persecuted. So few people know your name. You come here and lose a position and want everything to stop. We're not here for positions. We are here for ideas.
Wow, that was a powerful speech. Come to think of it, some bits of African history need to be rewritten, right? For the respect of Winnie Mandela, the EFF, with the leadership of Julius Malema, they named their headquarters after her. Well, that's all we had for today. Please let us know your favorite Malema commentary on African leaders. Let's make a date on the next one. I have been your host, Mary M. Muturi.